Big ideas start with a spark. At Tassie's, we use that spark to ignite the fire in ourselves and our kids. So with the trust we build and the knowledge we share, we can grow together and stand tall, creating opportunities to advance in business while setting an example for the next generation. Whether you are starting fresh in Portugal or expanding globally, we're here to support each other. This is more than a network. We are a community that sets the examples for the leaders of tomorrow. Join Tassie's Paris business community and share your knowledge and insights. Scan the QR for more information. See you there.
What drew you to real estate development? And like, what was there a precipice, or there was a moment in time where it's like, this is what I wanted to do? Like, how did you get into this?
Interesting. Good morning, everyone. I used to work for project management companies. Mm-hmm. We built around the world. We built in Mexico. We built in United States. We built in Southeast Asia. And I always liked this. We did some developments in Brazil by myself. I had a company in Brazil that we developed in the countryside. I always liked the countryside better than the big cities. So when I came to Portugal, I have nothing else to do. I was retired, said, well, I'm going to continue to do what I like, which is building houses and building homes. So that's what it happens. It happened in 2017. When we moved here, we acquired land and started developing it.
Could you tell us a little bit about some of your projects you've developed here since 2017?
Yes. As I said, I like the second tier cities. I don't work in downtown Cascais, downtown Lisbon, downtown Porto. We're doing the surroundings in between Cascais and Lisbon on the line there. We do Vila Nova de Gaia. We did Bicès, Penedo. We have done so far since 2017. We have built around 45 houses and apartments. Wow. Okay, we're a small company. You have interviewed the big guys. Now it's time for the the small guy, and we have around close to 100 to develop the next 6 months to 3 years. Okay. We're completing in Ericeira, in Vila Nova de Gaia, in Penedo, Caparici, so on and so on.
So you've been here for over about 8 years now, developing all these properties. What do you see like the advantage of? Why Portugal, and what do you love about the building here, the process? Yeah,
as you can see, I've been here for a while. So, the good wine is one thing, the good food is the second thing. Yeah. I think throughout the day, you're going to hear a lot of good stuff about Portugal doing. It's very sexy. Mm-hmm. The market continues to grow. Last year, the house price went like 9% up. I don't think it's going to stay like that. Whoever intends to invest now to make good money at a 9% is not going to happen. It's going to be a time that's going to stop, or at least stabilized. Yeah. So if I have to bet, and that's what I'm doing now, I don't do high ends. Yep. I don't do like low ends. I do in the middle. So the range of constructions we do is between 300,000 euro sale to 1.5 million. That's the range we are working on, and I think that's what whoever wants to start investing here should think about. Whatever you put in the market that is in the range between 300 and 400, you're gonna sell. You're gonna have a line after you. Above that starts to be a little bit complicated. Now you have more efforts for sale. So that's how I see it. The market's good, 300 days of sun, everybody talks about low cost of living, which is not so low today. It's getting up. Mm-hmm. So I need to consider that when somebody says, oh, it's still one of the lowest in Europe. Well, depends on comparison. You know what I'm saying? If you compare Lisbon to Madrid, you may say so, but if you compare Cascais to another city in Madrid, might not be so. Right. Okay. Right. So it all depends on that. So the best bet I see today is if you develop those 300 to 400, 450,000 euros in second tier cities, not in the major cities. First of all, you're not going to find land to develop in the big cities now. Yeah. It's very complicated and very cumbersome and costly. Number two, you're not going to have everybody as Tassie's parents to buy your house, correct? Yeah. The market is not only made of Tassie's parents, It's made of other people too. Yeah. So the average Portuguese, we sell like 60% of our property to locals, 40% to international. Okay. So.
What about the types of homes? Have you noticed? What's the trend? What are you looking at to making sure that you maintain profitability? Like the types, is it apartments? Is it single homes? 4 bedrooms?
It depends on location.
Yeah.
It depends on Ericeira, for example. We're building 48 apartments there. They are T2s and T3s, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, ranging from 80 square meters to 110 square meters, a seafront, and so on and so forth. Those are good for Ericeira, okay? Those are not so good for Linha de Cascais, Cascais, Lisbon. That would be not so good. Although T2, T3 would sell well, but we'll be talking about the 700,000 euros, 750. There I'm starting sale for 400. Okay. So it depends. The houses around this area, we're talking about a 3-bedroom plus 1. Or a 4-bedroom, 200 to 280 square meters, that has a good fit in the middle market. That's what the Portuguese people is looking for, and that's what most of international people also look for. If you build much bigger than that, it becomes harder to sell. Smaller than that is also hard to sell at the price for the location. So.
I love the transparency. So I'm going to ask you this: what are some of the myths and misunderstandings that foreign investors come into this market? What do they have to navigate through?
I think that the very first issue I see when I talk to investors that come here is that they want to do here as they do in their country. Okay? That doesn't work. And that doesn't work not only for real estate, it doesn't work for anything you do in life.
Yes.
Correct? If you're here, do like they do here. Can you present improvements? Of course you can present improvements. Can you bring new ideas? Of course you can bring new ideas. Okay? But the main question is the market prepared to pay for those high-end things or technologies? No. Number one. Number two, to have in mind is this: Portuguese do not produce most of the items that they use in their construction. Okay? So everything comes from mostly Spain or Germany. So I'm going to give a very basic example. In Ericeira, we built an apartment, and they asked us to put like the thing on the sink to liquefy the products in there. In the United States, that's very common, correct? Every house comes there. Here, not. So we need to bring that from Germany, and it broke. So now it's 3 months waiting for that to come back. So things that can seem good to have, in my end being a headache, and it's not needed, okay? Some houses, you would like to have the floor like radiating, like warm. The first question is that necessary for Portugal? Or is that nice to have? Okay? Because that adds cost. So if you want to buy an affordable house, but also want to have all this, it's not going to be affordable for Portuguese standard. It's going to be affordable for a medium to high level, but not for the Portuguese standard. So you need to understand very well the market you want to operate. Okay? Is it a good market? Yes. It makes profit? Yes, I'm here. Okay? I'm still here, although we have the COVID, I'm still here. But you need to understand pretty well the market you're going to operate, the niche you want to operate. If you're talking about high end, you can bring whatever you want, and the rich people will pay for it because they don't care. Okay? If you're talking about this level here, you're going to do the very basic because they want to afford to have a home. When you play in this, you need to be very careful of what you put, of what you offer. Okay? Our company, we do the standard. Okay? But then we talk to the people who wants to buy, and if they ask to add something, I said, yes, we can add, but that's extra, and that's going to cost this and that. Always remember, whatever you put in the house, you're going to have to give the warranty on that. Okay? It's part of the construction. You say, oh no, but the appliances are guaranteed by the manufacturer. True, but if the manufacturer don't answer, they're going to come after you. They're going to ask you to respond to that. So
yeah, you've developed obviously property in Aceira between Lisbon and Cascais. When you're looking for new opportunities, love to hear like how you think and how you see the world, the development. What are you looking for in an opportunity to say, this is how you evaluating the process, maybe, basically?
Okay. I don't do big projects. I do, for example, we're finishing a condominium of 6 houses in Mutau. We're going to start another one of 5 houses in Caparici. We have 48 apartments to do in Ericeira, but there are 4 plots of lands. So it's 12 apartments per time. Right. If I have to stop, I can stop. I can develop one, then develop a second one. When we look into doing big projects takes time. Big projects demand a lot of workers. Big projects, not only on the high level, but to execute. Yeah. Okay, so my philosophy is to do things I can do things that if I need to stop, I can. Because you never know what's going to happen again. You can have a crisis. You can, like COVID. During COVID, I was building the apartments and houses. And I was able to finish them, deliver them, and everything. But if I had more, I would not be able to do, and I would suffer with that. So do the small things.
Yeah, and how are you evaluating those developments? Are you looking for like areas that's going to be of growth in the future, or are you already looking at established areas? How are you evaluating which projects they're going to go into?
I look for good locations, not for prime locations.
Right.
Prime locations very pricey, okay? And the owner of the land knows that. Okay, and they want to sell you the land as if the house was already built.
Yeah.
Correct. So it's very complicated on that.
Yeah.
You need to find good locations. What is a good location? Is it close to schools? Is it close to the beach? Portuguese love beach. Okay. Is it close to the hospital? So if that's within a 5 kilometers radius, that's a good location. That's a good spot.
Yeah.
You can offer that. So you would look for a land of around 2,000 square meters per se. You can put like 5, 6 houses in there. Okay, and then do a good return. So when I look at that, I look at it as if I'm a buyer. I don't do houses that I would not live in.
Right.
Okay, that's my first concept, and my wife is here too, and that's our concept. We don't manufacture, don't construct houses, we don't design houses that we will not be comfortable living in.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. That has a standard, and that's the standard I live. Do the houses I built similar to my house? No, they are not. Okay? I live in Belora. Yeah. Okay? And I built in Bessese. But I mean, the quality is there.
Yeah.
Okay. So affordable house, 200, 280 square meters.
With a higher standard. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, I talked to you earlier about this, and you sort of mentioned, not going too far and having a team around you. What are the key team members or people that you need to work around, especially for foreigners come in here, that you need to make sure is on your team to ensure these projects go to completion without as little headaches as possible?
That's a very good question. Because the very first thing you want to do when you come here is to find a local partner. Okay? But by local partner is not somebody that's going to put 50%, you're going to put 50%. It's somebody that is willing to work with you openly, to guide you, to trust you, and you can trust them, and you can make that together. So they can realize that it's not going to be a one-time project or a one-time sale. They need to understand that you're here for good. They need to understand they're here to develop one, and then it's going to develop another one. So dedicate the time to yourself,
Yeah.
So they have their customers, but they're going to see you as a good customer that will continue in that. So that's the very first thing. Find local partner or develop local partners, okay? Don't go like say, hey, I've been doing this in my country, or I heard that building in Portugal is easy, is good, and I'm gonna find an architect and design one plant the way I want, and then I'm gonna go to that land and buy that land. That's not gonna work. It doesn't work. You saw the other guys that were here, they said the same. Yeah. You need local people that know how to interact with the local authorities, with the cameras, and so on and so forth. So my team had 4 key members. I have the head engineer, which is Portuguese, and I had the head director of sales, which is Portuguese. Then I have an architect, which is Brazilian, and I have the head of marketing, which is Brazilian. You know, we need to identify who can do what best, you know, and this is the core. Okay, we subcontract constructions and overview. So we buy the land, we develop the project, we approve the project. Once it's approved, we contract builders, constructions that are going to do. Sometimes we do a turnkey, you know, like condominiums, we might do a turnkey contract. Sometimes we buy as we go. For example, structure, we're going to buy the concrete, we're going to buy the steel, we're going to buy the doors, and so on and so forth. It depends on the project.
Yeah.
We do turnkey, or we do follow-up project management. Okay.
I mean, you've been developing for the last 8 years here, obviously from a different country before and coming here. What are the biggest mistake you've made during that time that, you know, maybe you just didn't understand and now you obviously fixed it?
Well, I was lucky to make my biggest mistake at the first day I was here in Portugal, when I decided to go to construction in Portugal. We found, I convinced my wife that we would do construction. She didn't want, and I said, well, I need to do something, otherwise you're going to be bored, because I'm going to bore you to death. You know? And so I found one building in Parede that was to remodel or put down and build another one. I talked to the broker convinced me that everything was okay. He presented me the plans were signed by architects and so on and so forth. There was a PIP at the time. And I looked at that, I went to see, I did the quotation with the 3 or 4 construction companies to do the direction. But I looked at the project and I said, I don't think the Câmara is going to authorize me to do that. Because if I'm the neighbor next door, they would never allow me to push my building here and block their sea view. So are you sure this is going to happen? And they said, yeah. I said, can we go to the Câmara and check again? We went there, the director, he had been approved by the director said, no, you're not going to build that. So, but they authorized us to push back a little bit the building. So I said, okay, now we have a good thing to go. It's in Parede. And I found the construction company, 3 or 4 of them on their bid. They look at you, they look at your pocket, they look at you, and they say, and they give you like a big quotation that. Then there is this guy, the Portuguese guy, that came and said, Murillo, I can give a quote for doing this building. But listen, if I start digging and there is something down there and I'll have to stop, I'll continue charging you. And that's not going to be good for you. And I can tell you right now that I'm going to find something, as will all the other construction. And I said, whoa, never thought about that, you know, and I have experience. So experience without local knowledge means zero.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. So I said, what would you do instead? And he said, well, I have some land that we can develop, blah, 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 blah. It's not his. He knew the location. And we start working together. We start building the house, and he's today my head engineer.
Oh, wow.
Okay? Because I trust him. You know, and he was very open. He lost a 3 million euros contract, but he saved my ass, you know? So this is what I mean. You need to find the right people. It could have been wrong because we think that we know how to do things.
Yeah.
Now we need the local experience on that, okay? And as far as I know, the building is still for sale in Parede. If you want to buy, it's still there for sale. Yeah.
All right, one last question.
Yeah.
If someone here is want to be a first-time developer here in Portugal, what's one advice you would want to give them?
Spend the first year talking to people. Don't go straight. You're gonna have, if you only talk to brokers, and I have nothing against brokers, I love them, they sell my properties, and I leave, and I like them. But if you only talk to brokers, you're gonna have the optimism, okay? Because any broker is gonna tell you that in that land you can do whatever you want, okay? That's not true, okay? That's not, oh, but I have the PIP. I had the PIP on the building, and you couldn't do. Okay, I have the people. No, I want to talk. So spend the year understanding. Talk to engineers. talk to lawyers, talk to fund managers like Alexandre, talk to architects, okay? Talk to engineers. See, feel. Once you feel comfortable that you have 10% knowledge, then is the time for go and partner with the people that you like the most, and then you start your development. Yeah. And I'm talking about development for sale. If you're talking about your house, you better than anybody knows what you want, correct? Yeah. But if you're talking about building for sale, then spend the time. If it's not a year, 6 months, but spend the time understanding the market, understand the idiosyncrasies of the market, understanding the people, how they operate and what they're looking for. Yeah. What you're looking for at home is different from what a Portuguese average level is looking for, or a Swedish person is looking for. So it depends.
That's great advice. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys.